The Broad Perspective Network is not responsible for the content of the following program. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to The Broad Perspective on the Broad Perspective Network. I'm glad you're with us today. I'm Vivian Komori.
And I'm Loweta Gonzales.
And we are being joined by our guest for today, and we're really excited to talk to her. It's Dr. Dravon James. And our focus today is going to be prescription for a damaged relationship. She does have a book that is the first in a series of 5 called Freedom is Your Birthright. We'll probably touch on all this, but I think it's interesting, Dr. James, that it's prescription for a damaged relationship, and you are a pharmacist, so that's very clever. That's very clever. I like that. So, welcome to our show, Dr. James. We're glad you're with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? In reading your bio, I'm like, whoa, this is one busy lady. I am so impressed with all the things that you do and have done and have accomplished. It makes me feel rather lazy, which, you know, what can I say? I'm a manatee of humanity. But anyway.
No, not at all. I'd be happy to. Sure. As you mentioned, I have a book out, but I am a creator. I am the creator of an organization called Everyday Peace. And my single mission is to teach people how to use everything, and I do mean everything, that shows up in their lives as a stepping stone on the pathway of creating the life of their dreams.
Ooh.
So that's where I am. That's been my journey forever. I kind of think I knew it forever, but I've embraced it and got on a pathway. So I consider myself an everyday peacemaker, and everyone else is too. I am the mom of 2 teenagers, amazing teenagers. I'm a happy wife of 23 years. I'm an actress, and as you mentioned, I'm a practicing pharmacist. I've been a pharmacist for 28 years.
Wow, that's what I mean. One busy lady. I'm impressed, and you've got quite a bit of things in your credit with all the stuff you do. Wow. Well, let's kick this off. Prescription for damaged relationship. Now, who amongst us has not had a relationship of some kind that has been damaged? It might be with our primary spouse, it might be with a child, it might be with a parent, it might be with a friend, it might be with a coworker, but somewhere along the line in our life we have had a damaged relationship. And some of us have suffered greatly from that. Some of us have wallowed, have been extremely taken aback. Sometimes maybe we have experienced betrayal. Sometimes we just don't know what the heck happened. But there's some damage there along the way, and I think we've all felt bruised from that. And somehow there's going to be some recovery, or you have a prescription. So jump right in there, Dr. James. Tell us what do we need to know when we're going through this with a relationship that has suffered some incredible damage?
Right, and you're right. Every one of us, if we've lived on this planet any length of time, we've experienced some damage. We've done some damage, if we're totally honest with ourselves.
Yep.
Intentionally or unintentionally, we've also, people can walk through our life and say, I remember when you did that to me, or you made me feel that way, and, you know, that's why we no longer talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So it goes both ways, and so I call it a prescription for damage, because we're always looking for sort of like a quick fix for anything. You know, we could get on the treadmill, or we could pop this pill.
Yes.
You know, where's the pill?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the truth is, the only way to fix any relationship is to start with ourselves. You know, that is the true prescription, is to really start with ourselves. I always say that, you know, the only way through a conflict is through a conflict. You got to get in there.
Right.
You got to have clear and fearless communication, and the first person you got to communicate is with you.
Yeah.
That's the first step. And most of us don't spend any time, and it's no, you know, blame, shame, or condemnation in this. We're just so busy. We don't spend any time getting to know ourselves. We kind of know what you know about us.
Yep.
And what you say is great about us, and what you think our flaws are, and, you know, how, you know, everything whoever that you is, whether it's the media or, you know, a fashion magazine, whatever it is.
You are so right.
Yeah, so it takes a while to do that, and when you're in a damaged relationship, I feel like it's really the best place. I've been working on myself, and I tell people when I was 17 years old, my brother, who was 16, I was turning 18, so yeah, he was still 16.
Okay.
He gave me a book called The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yes, Norman Vincent Peale.
And I
Yeah.
was getting ready to go to college and graduated high school, and it was a little book. I read it on the way going to work, and I couldn't believe it because I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of know this, and and I think I must have read that book like 10 times before I left for college, and it became like tranquility in that book. I've read it. My daughter's 18, and I think I've read it at least 10 times since she's been alive, and that word tranquility, he tells like pick a word, and I remember that word sticking out with me, and I thought every time I got into a relationship there, I felt, here it goes again, I'm going to be abused, or I'm going to be left holding the bag, or that word would just pop into my, I was like, oh, this is my safe word, this tranquility. And it made me start thinking in recent years, like, what is it about me? I need to get to know Dravon better.
Right.
I need to, and I would have those conversations in small groups with people, and I realized that a lot of people didn't know themselves. Like, I'd ask questions, and people were like, I don't know.
You are so right. That has been the battle cry on the Broad Perspective for years. We've been doing this show for almost 10 years. And that has been our battle cry. Know thyself. Above all else, know thyself. That is, I think, the most important commandment. Yeah, because we don't. And, the one thing I wanted to throw in there and kind of get your feedback on this, my concern with people is that they're going to take the positive thinking thing, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But they're still so afraid to go into that deep, dark night of the soul to get to know themselves because there might be some negative stuff and dig up. And you can't camouflage it with positive thinking. You need to get real. You have to own it. You have to own your negative stuff. You have to pay attention.
Right. My sister and I used to have this phrase that we used to have to squint when we look in the mirror at ourselves. Just close one eye, just squint a little bit, because you don't want to see all the mess that you did.
Right.
You don't want. It's like, oh my gosh, so you kind of squint, and but you got to be real with yourself. And I know for me, I said, these are the things, the dark parts of myself that I'm a little ashamed of. So I started saying all the time before I lay.
Yep.
And I just keep reminding myself, there's no condemnation, no blame.
Go for it, Loweta.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt there. So, yeah, I was looking at your bio, and you are an inspiration for sure. You're doing a lot of the things that I hope to do in the near future. And I'm actually going through this right now. I probably look 10 pounds lighter from last week. And I tend to, I'm a coach too, but I'm still human, and I still have these emotions, and I feel like I've done a lot of the inner work. I've done a lot of the, self-analysis, the meditation, the kind of ripping myself apart, the dark night of the soul, the shamanic journey, all these different things. And I still find myself in today's reality feeling so far ahead, not like I'm better, but just like I'm willing and ready to just air the dirty laundry, open and expose. And a lot of my girlfriends are I'm not young. I'm 40. I've had children, I've been married and divorced, so I have experience. I'm not new to the world, but my generation is like, we're looking at these relationships that we're all in, and we're like, when are you going to meet me? Because I'm here exposed. And I'm not saying it's like a gender thing, but it kind of is, because I have a lot of girlfriends that are successful, that have had life experiences and learned a lot. And it just seems like, I'm just going to say it, these men are not ready to step up, or they're like a little behind us. And I understand that it starts with you. I get that. I get that you have to show up for yourself first, and you meet your match. You meet the perfect reflection. But maybe that's where my confusion is that I think that we as women are the nurturers, and we want to, I'm going to help you. Let's heal together. Let's do this. And the man is so much focused on the money, or I'm not really into my feelings, or whenever I get in my feelings, I can't, so there's a lot of this division, and people just staying together just to be together. And I want this dynamic, beautiful, exposed, maybe just unrealistic relationship. But, I'm suffering because I know my spirit is telling me something, but then logic tells me something else. So this is my journey. This is what I'm going through, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to search within myself. And I do some days sometimes I'm hard on myself. I'm like, well, it's all me. It's, I have the issues. So how would you, work with somebody with that? How would you help somebody with that kind of situation?
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think it's universal that, you said so much in there, but it's so clear to me that, because we all feel that way. We feel like, I'm ready to just be real with you, and this is who I am, and I want you to be who you are. When it comes to having nurturing female relationships, I can tell you that I sold a very popular cosmetic line for many, many years, and I spent a lot of time with women. Probably a lot more time than is healthy, but a lot of time. And one thing I noticed in there is that there are a lot of women who are in that place, too, who just cannot get beyond the surface of themselves. Mm-hmm. I used to think it was just men or maybe just my man, but I found a lot of women that were in that predicament, too, who just couldn't get beyond the surface of, just really surface stuff. This is what I drive. This is where I live. This is what I look like. This is what I wear, and go a little bit deeper with themselves. But I always found that the best place for me to be is authentic with me, and then let you be, or whoever that is, whether it's a female friend of mine, whether it's my husband, be where you want to be, and find comfort in that. I remember hearing something. I can't think of his name right now. The guy who wrote "Women Are from Venus, Men Are from Mars."
John. Oh my gosh, John Gray.
John Gray, right. So he says in one of his writings, it wasn't that book necessarily, but somewhere in one of his things I read, he says that women always believe that we want a man that's going to pour out his feelings like one of our girlfriends, and we just want to know what you're thinking until we really know what he's thinking, and then we're like, not so much, kind of, and so I've been married to the same guy for 23 years, and over the years, well, I got to tell you, in 2015, I realized I've been married to this guy forever. I really don't even know you. We had this major,
I get you.
Realization in our life. I'm like, who are you? And, how have we existed side by side all these years? And during that time period, it gave me more time to grow. It gave him time to grow, too, and become more expressive. And what I started to accept in him is that you can only be comfortable exposing the parts of you that you are comfortable exposing. And I have to accept that.
Right.
Your soul belongs to you.
That's so huge, Doctor. That is so huge. I just want to say, once I made that recognition as well, that he was going to be who he was going to be, and he was going to share what he was going to share, and I made peace with that, life got so much better.
Oh my God. It's like, it is so freeing.
It is.
Gosh. And then we also have a decision to make: am I going to be comfortable here? And that's the decisions that I get to make. I'm free to do that and say, am I comfortable with this?
Right.
And that's my decision. No one can take that from me. I make that decision, but I can't make the decision for you to give more than what you have to give.
Exactly, because there's a certain level. You are so right on. You are, and we either become at peace with it, or we spend our life in frustration, or we move on and experience the same frustration with wearing a different pair of pants down the road.
And I have met people. I have one girlfriend who's married the same man 3 times.
Yeah, that would be me.
She married the same man 3 times, and I look at them, and I said, so how has he changed? She goes, he hasn't changed at all. And in fact, it could be worse.
Oh, see, I say I married the same man 3 times, but he was wearing different pants and he just had a different name.
Right. So she's literally married.
Yeah, she married the exact same man.
The exact same man. And she said, but she says, what's happened? She says, I have grown so much, and I realized that this is my life.
Yep.
And I'm happy to share parts of it with him. They're at a place now, they're older, but literally, their kids are their grandparents now. And, they've been together through some parts of having children, apart and back together. And, my husband and I have been in the same relationship together 23 years, no breaks. But in that time period, I've allowed myself to grow. which
Yep.
helped the relationship to grow, definitely.
Sure.
But irregardless of whether that relationship was going to grow or shrivel up and fly away, I made the decision that I was going to grow.
There you go.
For me.
There you go.
So it's so important. We can spend the rest of our life, and I think we do that a lot of times. We spend the rest of so much of our time and energy is on trying to get somebody to give more of themselves to us.
Yep.
And that's really a cry from inside for us saying that we need more of us, whatever that is, whatever it is. And I find myself when I get in that space and say, oh, you know what, I'm just so lonely for some true connection. And I sit and say, you know, okay, where is that coming from? Because he can't do that.
Exactly. And we're going to pick back up on that when we come back from our break, because that is the most significant issue, I think, any of it. And that goes without saying for all of our relationships that are broken. We'll be right back with more of The Broad Perspective and our visit with Dr. Dravon James in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Hello, I am His Majesty the Soul, King of Mauritius, and I invite you to help me build the world's planetary egg, an ecological geophysical galleon. It's approximately 180 acres, and it is home to 3,000 researchers from around the world. It is the world's first sovereign, planetary, independent jurisdiction that has the capability of advancing and progressing and fast-tracking every aspect of innovation, helping us redefine what it means to be human in a new world. So check out our website. It's www.mauricii.com. MORACEAE.com. I look forward to seeing you, and please contribute, donate to the GoFundMe page. I look forward to meeting you, and let's build the planetary egg. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Broad Perspective on the Broad Perspective Network. I'm Vivian Komori.
Loweta Gonzales.
And we're continuing our discussion with Dr. Dravon James, and it's a prescription for a damaged relationship. Before we took our break, we were talking about how we were perhaps longing for something for our partner or our relationship person that we're in, whatever that is for us, that we want them to provide something for us. We're lonely. We want a connection, like you said, Doctor. But the truth of the matter is they can't provide anything for us. They really can't. They really can't. We have to figure that out ourselves. Why do we need that? Why are we feeling like we don't have it? What is it within us that needs that?
Yeah, you see, I truly believe that we only have two emotions. You know, we can categorize them. When we boil them down, there's only love and fear.
Right on.
And so much of what we do is fear-based.
Yep.
So most of everything, we even, we get love mixed up, and it's out of fear. I can't move on because I'm afraid. I know this relationship is toxic, and I can't go because I'm afraid. And I'll call that love, as long as it doesn't make me have to feel this intense fear.
Right.
So we get off, and that's where self-mastery, and I kind of don't like the term mastery, because what do we ever master?
Yeah, exactly.
We master nothing. Our surgeons haven't mastered. We're still calling that a practice. I'm practicing medicine, I'm practicing heart surgery.
Yeah.
So we get to where we can see ourselves better.
Right.
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 And we were talking a few minutes ago earlier about squinting and not looking at ourselves dead on. But when we start really falling in love with ourselves, we're okay with that part of ourselves too. Because whatever we start shining light on,
yes,
it starts to move away, and we say, I see you. Okay, so you're saying that you're lonely, and that was big for me. I thought to myself, well, gosh, I've been lonely my whole life. No dad, and I'm just lonely. I'm just lonely.
Sure.
And then I think to myself, okay, now my marriage is breaking up. I'm gonna be lonely again.
Right.
And I realized, well, I've been lonely.
Right.
So what's going on here?
See,
And where is this really coming from?
and that's the richness of being. See, you found that secret. Most of us do not, because we do all the things that we think we need to do to get through whatever situation it is. We get plastic surgery, we lose weight, or we gain weight, whatever it is we think that'll make us different, that'll solve whatever problem it is we're experiencing without really recognizing what it is truly, the deep depths of what we're experiencing and what we are and why we're needing to change in the first place. And it's a phenomenon. I watch it over and over and over again. I went to see a girlfriend yesterday, and she says, okay, she just had some surgery, and she said, now, once I get over this, I'm going to be vegan. She said, I was vegan before, and I felt better than I've ever felt. And I said, so why did you quit? Well, because I was attracting more men. And I'm like, okay, so what was wrong with that? Well, that kind of scared me. Okay, well, why was that scary? And, we went down this whole road, and pretty much most of it, the whole thing was BS, because she still wasn't being real with herself. Wasn't being real. Getting to the core of what all this was about. Because it doesn't matter what we change, we're still us until we really get to the root of who we are.
That's right. And that,
So
for me, I started off by asking a simple question to myself, which was so difficult. You wouldn't think this simple question was so difficult, but it was so difficult. And what am I feeling right now?
Aha.
And
Right.
it was so difficult because I wouldn't allow myself to give, just a bold, I'm happy.
Right.
I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling right now? And then I would say, hey, then why are you feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you feeling that? And it would keep coming, the emotion that would keep coming up for me is that I was lonely. So I was putting up with all kinds of stuff that you shouldn't put up with.
Yeah.
Because I was lonely, and and I said, okay, all right, we have to spend some time with you in this loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Because I enjoyed my own company.
Right.
Truly, I did. I was like, I want to shop along. Like, I can go to whatever store I want to go to, little or as much. I want to. But it was something that was really, really plaguing me, and I was like, this is why I've made so many of the decisions. It was this fear was the driving force behind a lot of the decisions that I had made. And people would say, "Oh, you're so brave. I see you doing this. I see you doing that." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, if you only knew."
Exactly.
So it's in our, in that part we talked about, seeing yourself, you're in the darkness, in that little corner right there, that, little dark corner right there that's driving your life.
Yep.
And really saying, okay, I see you.
Yep.
I'm not going to let you hide back there, and I'm not going to condemn you for being.
Exactly.
You're not five. Right. You're not five anymore. It probably came from way, way back there. Those people don't even exist in your life anymore, or maybe they do, but they don't hold the same importance that they did. So, and I kept talking to myself that way. And it's so funny. I was talking to my mom, and she says to me, how do you do this? And she knew a little bit about what was going on in my marriage, but not everything. And I said, Mom, I talk to myself as though I were talking to my kids when they were 4 or 5, or in middle school when they would come home. Who says to their kid when they come home from middle school, if you can think back how hard middle school is for kids.
Oh, yeah.
Who says when they come in the door, oh, just tough it out? Nobody says that.
Right.
They rub them on the back and sit down and say, let's talk about it. What happened? Wow, you're kidding me. You go through all that and you let your kid express themselves. You say, wow, and you hear that and then you say, well, let's think about it this way. Have you ever thought about this? And you let them kind of flush it out.
Right.
Because you can't go to the 7th grade class and beat up everybody. Right? And that's what I did with myself. And I tell people all the time, ask yourself what you're feeling and then don't judge that.
Right.
Don't say you're wrong for feeling that or you need to grow up or, look, that happened 30 years ago. You need to get over it. It's still there, and it's there for a reason.
Right, exactly. And taking it a step deeper, why are you feeling that way? Why?
Right.
What's the why? That's where it starts getting deep. That's where it starts getting deep.
And having...
If you can get to that why, and, it takes a long... And these sound like really simple questions.
Oh, no.
Having compassion for yourself is a life journey, I think. I really do. I really think it's a life journey. Do you have
is.
some tools that people can practice that you think that would work and can share
I
with
do.
us?
So when I talk about this simple question, and I recommend people ask themselves that question at least 3 times a day. When you get up in the morning, when you go to lunch, or
I like that.
your midday, at the end of the day, and really don't rush yourself to an answer.
Right.
Don't rush yourself to an answer. Take some time with, how are you feeling today? What are you feeling? And then start journaling that. I have journals that date back to when I got that book, The Power of Positive Thinking. I started journaling on a serious basis. And I look back and I read some of that stuff, and I think to myself, ooh.
Yeah.
Right, and I recently started journaling again in 2015, and I really suggest people find some way to document them. Because it gives you an opportunity to look back at yourself from the outside in, sort of, and have those moments that maybe you wouldn't have with yourself, with sitting down and comforting yourself, not giving yourself excuses, but just comforting yourself, letting yourself just be.
Right. Yes.
Just be.
Yes.
Without trying to say, we're going to eventually get to, we need to correct or improve some things about us because we're trying to repair a damaged relationship, and we know that we're talking about repairing ourselves. Because when we get to a place where we're healing, things around us will heal. It'll be organic. It'll start to happen.
You are so right. And that just being is peace.
Yes.
That is peace. When we that was my high school ambition. In your yearbook, everybody wants to be a beautician and marry Danny Hable, or they all have aspirations. Or they want to be a nurse. Or they want to be a doctor, or what have you. Mine was to be. That was it. To be.
Oh, I love it.
And you know what? When I really step back and think about that, I thought, wow, I guess I was smarter back in those days than I thought I was, because really that has been my life journey, is just to be comfortable being. Just be real. Let's just be real. Just be.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love realness.
I love that. Just be.
Yeah.
We don't get a chance to do that because we're so busy. Life requires so much energy. And then you add a relationship on top of that.
Yep.
And now you're just exhausted. And you lose that, I just want to be. Because it takes time.
And our culture does not allow it either. Our culture doesn't allow for beingness, because we have to be different. We have to be the Kardashians. We have to be the latest trend, whomever that is, or whatever that is. We have to have whatever it is we're being sold in the media. And we also have to be very busy. We have to be so busy that we don't have any time for reflection and peace, and to be in nature and just commune with the trees or whatever, to just be at peace. And I think that our culture so discourages that, it has kept us like ants, just constantly busy and constantly working and constantly being out of touch with ourselves. And I think that, I can't say it's purposeful, it's not, but it is part of what we've come to. And the idea that we have to be that way in order to have what we want and be who we think we want to be.
That is so true. I say that all the time. And, when you look at, when I first became a mom, I joined a mom's group. And in that mom's group, I realized quickly, at least the one that I was in, it was a competition of who was the most exhausted. So here I was living, miles and miles away from any family that could help me. So I was really exhausted. I didn't have any help. My children were with me 24 hours a day. And I just felt like I'm not going to come to a group where you can just trade off notes of how busy we are, and the next one wants to be busier. I said, I just want, just to be. I just want to sit for a second.
Right. I get it.
And talk about nothing. And I don't want to trade off how busy I was last night or how little sleep I got last night. Those are all realities, and it's not a badge of honor for me.
Yes. I so see that. Oh, my gosh. I see it in my own family. In fact, just this morning, it was like a contest to who got the least sleep last night. I only got 4 hours of sleep. I didn't sleep very well at all. It was so hot, blah, blah, blah. It was just, one trying to outdo the other who was the most miserable from not sleeping well. Yeah, one-upping the other. And
we do that in our relationships, in our relationships with each other too. we get in this place where instead of us being on one pathway towards peace, we're on a pathway to see who has given more.
Exactly. And it's constant. And the real realization here, because we're getting the signal we have to take another break, but the real realization here is when that's coming at us, instead of us dishing it out, to recognize it for what it is and not get upset and wear it. Let's think.
Right.
Let's think about that for a moment. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back in just a moment with our visit with Dr. Dravon James and the Broad Perspective. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The 12th Hour. A show literally about everything. A candid discussion between friends about their different perspectives on what they think may be going on.
Or what is not going on.
With so many different areas of information being given out, we attempt to put together the puzzle pieces to create the broad perspective of the whole picture.
Welcome back to the Broad Perspective on the Broad Perspective Network. I'm Vivian Komori.
And Loweta Gonzales.
And we're continuing our visit with Dr. Dravon James, and she has a book that's out that is quite fascinating, and it is called, it says first in a series of 5, called Freedom is Your Birthright. But today our focus on our discussion is Prescription for a Damaged Relationship. And we're coming in, I think we're making lots of insights, and I hope that our listeners can learn from this, because I think that the information that you're sharing with us, Doctor, is some of the most valuable information people are going to get, like, ever. It is so important. It is the key to everything. It really is. It really is. And I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I know up to this point we've really been talking about communication, and we really can't say enough about self-communication, because from that honest springboard, when you can truly communicate with yourself in truth, that's when you're going to create an environment that allows for honesty and communication with somebody else, whether it be a spouse or a parent or a child, whomever, coworker. That communication, we all know, is key in relationships, but we really always overlook, or quite frequently overlook, communication with self. But then there's also taking responsibility for our role in a damaged relationship.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head on that one. It's never about them. It's never about them, ever. It's about us. It's never.
We see them, there's somewhere in a book I read that my life is an outpicturing of my insides.
See, there you go. I like that.
Can I disagree with that a little bit?
Okay.
Go for it.
Just a little bit.
Go for it.
Well, you guys are saying that, but I just disagree on some level, because I've been having these business meetings with this lady, and she's just super, super negative. I mean, everything goes back to negative, and I'm like cringing inside. I'm not judging her, but I'm like, can we be more positive? Like, you're in the situation. Let's figure out a plan how to get you out. I'm more of think positive, move positive, don't complain about the problem constantly. And so, but I've had teachings that, okay, you're attracting this, so maybe you're feeling like a little icky inside, and maybe you're drawing these kind of, I'm just going to say it, pathetic-minded people, because she lives in pity. She wants to be in pity. And so that's where I have an issue, where I'm like, that's not me, though, because I'm normally a bubbly, happy. I just don't like to see people sad and miserable, and it affects me, and I hope I can conquer that one day. But
you just said it. You said everything in that last sentence. You said it all, because it affects you. Therefore, there is something in you that relates to that, and that's why you don't want to hear it.
But don't we all relate to suffering?
Not the same way.
Not the same way.
Interesting, because we all have those people in our life, right?
Yep.
And sometimes, whatever strikes a nerve in you, you have to, and I'd say this to my son all the time, I said, so if that bothers you so bad, then you need to go within yourself and find out where that trait is. Like, why does that hit a button for you? I could listen to someone complain all day, and I see that as just them. Now if you want me to help you through this or give you some tips to get through this, I'm welcome I'm happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if that is where you want to be, I'm happy to allow you to be.
Yep.
Okay, well, I have some work to do because I can only handle like an hour, and I'm like ready to go.
I can understand.
jump off a
I
bridge.
understand
It's
that.
so negative. I'm talking about like all over the place, super like this is where I'm at, and just super strong. And maybe that's just the mirror that I have to.
It is a mirror,
fix.
and it is something. I understand you don't want to be around. I get that. However, if it's upsetting you, and if you're walking away feeling tense with angst, then there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Because, I have a son. I can't watch the news. I can't read the newspaper. It upsets me so bad. To which I would say, why? I can understand there's a lot of negativity and a lot of things that could rightfully be upsetting. However, what about that is upsetting you? Because I can watch the news and I can read the newspaper and these stories, and there are some stories where, yes, I have empathy for the people that are suffering, but they don't ruin my day. I don't leave the news feeling, I don't go on to Jeopardy and go, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening in the world. I'm so upset and I'm so depressed. And I know that a lot of motivational speakers say, oh, don't read the newspaper, don't watch the news if it upsets you. I say, if it upsets you, figure out why. Because there's more to that.
I think I just did, honestly. I think that it just came to me instantly that her situation, she's being uprooted and she's going through a divorce. And there's a lot of similar things that she's going through that I have gone through. It just hit me right now. And that's what's bothering me.
See?
Because I got through that.
Communication does.
Yeah.
It helps you to see yourself. Everyone's purpose, my purpose, your purpose, our purpose in each other's lives is to help us see ourselves better.
Right. That's it exactly. Yeah.
So and that's why it's so important that we look at people and give them their space to grow. But say, wow, this about you bothers me so much. It really, grates my last nerve. Let me turn inwardly and see where I am in this process. Then eureka, we have not only empathy for them, but humanity.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I'm no longer tolerating you. I'm beyond in love with you. There's something Jada Pinkett said. I saw this thing on YouTube last week, and she said that she and Will Smith no longer refer to themselves as husband and wife.
I saw that. Yes.
They're not. We're life partners, and it immediately made me think of this feeling that I have inside that I share something in common with everybody.
Yep. Yep.
So I see myself in everybody to some degree.
Yes.
And so it's beyond me loving you. I am you. So, we can get past this. We can get past whatever you're doing. It doesn't mean I'm going to allow you to misbehave in my life.
Okay.
It does not mean that
exactly.
at all.
Exactly.
It means totally the opposite. It's because I see it, I'm open enough to be truthful and honest with you about, hey, these are some boundaries that I have. And that's another thing that we have to have when we're talking about a prescription for repairing a damaged relationship. We got to know where our boundaries are. Doesn't evoke this hatred or fear based arguing or anything. I see that, and I also see that why that bothers me. So here's healthy boundaries for us.
Right. And I get exactly what you're saying, Loweta. I was you. I've been in those situations, and I still find myself in them from time to time. But like the good doctor here is saying, I, at least now at my age, I'm able to step back and go, it's not about them. What is it that's resonating with me, that's pushing my buttons that I installed to begin with? So what is it that is upsetting me? Because there's got to be something. It's nothing to do with them. It's nothing. They're just mirrors. They're just showing me.
Well, it makes it harder when other people know that person and they're like, well, she's so negative too. And it's just like, okay, how can we stop this train of blame and shame and guilt and allow each other to love each other without punishing?
You know what I say? Jane is who Jane is because Jane is who Jane is.
Right.
That's it. Period.
And just set up healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So I had this boss very briefly, and we could not get along for anything. Her method of communication was just very denigrating and abrasive, and I thought to myself, And I realized that it was other people in this place, and they were just, oh, that's just the way she is. And I thought to myself, I cannot tolerate her.
Right. I got you.
Like I just would feel sick, physically ill when I had to go into work.
Uh-huh.
And I thought one day driving to work, I said, oh my gosh, is that how I make people feel? And, is something inside of me doing that? Is that why I see it and so I'm so affected by it? I don't think I'm that way. So it helped me to, when I went to work that day, I said, okay, here she comes again.
Right.
Road paper on it. But I saw it differently, and I said, okay.
Yep.
Find out where, it may not be the exact same display within myself, but am I super critical on some level of myself? And I just went through this whole thing, and it helped me to see her differently, to be in her space and not be internally, quietly negative to her. So you know how that goes. It's like inside of your head, you're like, oh, please.
Yes.
So I wanted to get out of my head there, because sometimes you're having a conflict with somebody and they don't even know it.
Exactly. Exactly. They're totally unaware. Like the lady that you're talking about, Loweta, she probably had no idea that her negativity is driving you crazy, just like Dr. James's boss probably didn't have a clue the effect she was having on her. Yeah, it's about us. Go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry I jumped in there.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, and that's part of, setting up those boundaries, but seeing yourself clearly and giving people space to be who they are, because always knowing that they're working through something. We're always working through something.
Right. Absolutely.
And the journey never ends. Like once you think, okay, we fixed this, and then there's something else that pulls up. We just got to have these skill sets that say, okay, I communicate honestly with myself. I have healthy boundaries. I'm able to see me in you always, no matter what you've done. I could say, oh, I would never do what you did. I would never do that. But doesn't mean that I would never feel what you felt when you did it.
Yes. Oh, well said. That is very well said. Yes, absolutely. And go ahead. No. Go continue. Yeah.
Just my display would be different. I'm going to, I'll picture it some kind of way. I would just, I could lie about it. I could lie about it. Meaning that my actions, for years I was angry at my husband. For years.
Yep.
People say 20 years. For years I was angry. He never knew.
Yep. I know.
Wow.
Yep.
I guess I'm just really vocal.
I get it. And you, oh man, yes, you're so right. And that goes with so many people. They're in shock when we finally say to them, do you know for 20 years that I have been angry at you for or because or this is why and what have you? And they're like, what? I had no idea.
See, I can't keep my mouth shut. I kind of like, shut up. Nobody wants to know all your feelings and what you're saying and what you're doing.
Well, and that's okay, too. In fact, that's probably better than bubbling up like I did, and apparently Dr. James did as well.
Right.
But, yeah.
It's better because we'd still be where we were if somebody didn't have the courage. And you say, how could you do that? Well, I was angry. Well, I've been angry. I didn't do that. So that's okay. You have a right to express your feelings in the way that you express them. And the fact that you did led us to this point of transparency. We can use anything that shows up if we're willing to put the work in.
Exactly. And when you say that is so important because the willing to put the work in means that it's work from the standpoint of it's not fun. It's just sometimes it is so not fun to see these things about ourselves. And I see, even though I recognize there's a lot of things in me that I have now, I get it. I get who I am. I get why I react that way. I haven't fixed it. I'm no better, but now I know why. I get it, and so I have a whole different reaction.
Ease through it a little bit.
Grace. Exactly. Yeah, doesn't mean that we instantly fix something or make it different or better, but it does take away a lot of blame. It takes away a lot of blame.
Yeah. The blame, we can either get better. I always say we can get bitter, and blame makes us bitter.
Yep.
An age.
Right, yep. And I say all the time when I talk to my girlfriends, and I say, so blame puts on wrinkles, so we're just going to stop.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
We don't need to know whose fault it is, right? We just need to know that we have a desire to fix this or get better or let this disintegrate. but we're not looking for this blame. Ego does that. It traps us in blame.
Yes. And it's a low vibration. I don't know. Are you familiar, Doctor, with Dr. David Hawking's
No.
The Map of Consciousness? And I'm trying to think of his main books. Power versus Force. I think you would really like that book. Power versus Force. And he's got the map of consciousness, and he has all the different emotions and their vibration via kinesiology. He's put numbers to kinesiology, and blame is way down at the bottom, way down at the bottom of vibrations. When you start blaming other people for behaviors, it's a low vibration. It just is.
And you're so low down there. It takes, you move up incrementally, but I always tell people, it's like a 2-year-old. You're just running around pointing your finger, and you don't know any better to do. And you could say, okay, I see where we are. You always got to acknowledge it. I'm not into pretending like what's going on is not going on. I did that for a number of years. It doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
Right. So, I acknowledge, this is going on, and how I feel about it. I acknowledge that too. I don't need to say, and you did this, and you. So I got this thing going on in my life. This is how it's making me feel, and this is how I'm going to utilize that thing to get where I want to go.
Yep.
Because it's here.
Yep.
It's either going to use me or I'm going to use it.
Exactly.
It's here, whatever that is. Whether it's whether it's the infidelity or the financial situation, whatever it is.
Yep.
I got 2 choices. I can sit here and be used and abused by it, or I can figure out how to use whatever it is as a stepping stone to get where I need and want to be.
Yep. And that all comes with figuring out your role in it and who you are. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. We're getting the signal. It's time for another break. So we have one session left, and we're going to wrap up this discussion, which has just been fabulous, Doctor. I'm just so grateful you're spending time with us today. We're going to be back in just a moment with more of the broad perspective and our visit with Dr. Dravon James in just a moment. Stay tuned.
BPN. Join the awakening.
The Broad Perspective Network is a portal designed to reveal a new perspective and reality to those who wish to know the truth about the world we live in and our role in it.
BPN. See beyond the illusion.
Welcome back to The Broad Perspective on the Broad Perspective Network. I'm Vivian Komori.
And Loweta Gonzales.
And this is the final segment of our discussion with Dr. Dravon James. And boy, we wish it could go on for a very long time because this has been a lot of fun.
Super cool.
Yeah, and I know I've learned quite a bit. I know Loweta has, and I am assuming that our listeners have as well. But I want to mention that Dr. James is an author of a book, Freedom is Your Birthright. It can be had at Amazon. Again, Freedom is Your Birthright. And visit her website. It's Dr. Dravon, Dravon James, JAMES.com. And do you sell the book on your website, or do they need to go to Amazon? You do on your website as well. Okay. Yeah. All right. So do both of those things, because I think that you'll find, if you like what we've talked about today, you're going to get more good stuff.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a good book. So today we've been talking about prescription for a damaged relationship. I think we've gotten down into some deep stuff here.
Yeah, we really have. And I know we don't have much time left, and I just want to say that in everything that we've been talking about, we want to remember that we talked about establishing boundaries. They're so important. And a little quick story about me. When I first heard the phrase boundaries and me, I was confused. I really was. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. I felt like, well, I'm supposed to. I'm in love, or I'm in this relationship, or I have these children. It was with every relationship, and I didn't have any boundaries. I just
Right.
I didn't. I'm putting it all in. And then I thought one day, I was in the car, and I was just really thinking about this word boundaries and this relationship and how to fix this and what was going on. And I glanced over at the car in the oncoming traffic, and I saw the yellow line, and it hit me. Boundaries provide safety.
Ah.
Because that yellow line is a boundary. I stay on this side, that car stays on that side. We get to where we're going safely.
Very good. Excellent.
Wow.
In a relationship, if we want to get to where we're going safely in this relationship and keep things intact, we've got to express, hey, these are my boundaries, and these are your boundaries. And if we respect this,
yes,
we're going to get to where we're going safely. And that being said, we still got to be flexible. We got to be flexible, willing to change, because we got a damaged relationship. So we're not going to go back to the way things were, right? Resist that temptation. We're trying to repair because we want to go back to the way it was. No, we do not.
Right. Exactly.
We're new.
Right.
We're creating here. How wonderful. How wonderful that we're in a position with somebody else and we have decided to create something new.
Yep.
We're not going to go back. I remember when my husband and I discovered that we need to recreate. I couldn't even go back to think about the wedding day. We're lies there. Right? So I couldn't go back, sit back, let me look at the wedding tape. No.
Right. I gotcha. I totally gotcha. Yeah.
So let's create something new. And we had to be flexible and honest in that space of creating something new.
Right.
So important, be willing to create and be flexible in creating something new, knowing that in this newness that we're creating, guess what? Conflict is inevitable. There will be more conflict. That's okay.
Right.
That's okay. That's how we grow. If we remain honest with our communication first with ourselves. Realizing that when we become dishonest, is because we are fearful.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
We are fearful of losing something. We are fearful of being seen. My girlfriend and I talk about, oh my gosh, who can see us with makeup, without makeup? Very few people.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So we become fearful of that. And we want that transparency to say, with ourselves, to be transparent and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I did. Not necessarily who I am, but this is what I did.
Right.
And I'm still lovable, first by me.
Exactly.
And then by everybody else, but first by me. Right? I'm still able to be forgiven. And when I forgive me, I can forgive anything else.
Right. Exactly.
I can forgive anybody else.
That is so true. I have a lot of respect for some of these actresses that don't mind being photographed without makeup, or like Jamie Lee Curtis that put on her underwear and slouched and had her picture taken because she said these magazines, they make you look so good. And then here's the reality of who I am, which was still great by any means.
Still great, right?
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't,
right.
I mean, when it really gets down to just the bare basis of things, do we really even care how perfect you are? We really just want to know.
No.
Yeah, we don't.
Right. That you're okay with who you are, and then you'll be okay with who I am.
Exactly. And we don't have to be trying to be somebody different that we think other people are going to like better, because they're really not. They're not going to like us any better.
That? Right. They're going to find something wrong with that perfect person that you this image that you put out. There'll be criticism of that too. So you might as well just criticize the real deal.
Yeah. Let's just be real. And see, oh man, we're just so afraid of that. We are so afraid of that. Yeah.
We are. We're afraid. And the thing is, with damaged relationships, we're afraid of it there too, because we feel like, well, we have been as transparent as we could possibly be and feel safe, although it hasn't been totally transparent.
Right.
And you are rejecting me, and
yep.
And you don't even know all of my other stuff, but you're rejecting this. So we just get so fearful, and that's the whole point about being an everyday peacemaker. And my motto is, nothing missing, nothing broken, wholeness, completeness, totality in who I am today, right now.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep, I like that a lot too. Is that in your book? Is that in your book?
It's in the book. It's in the book.
Right on.
And it's the key. One of the key ingredients to repairing a damaged relationship is knowing that if this relationship remains intact and evolves, I'm going to be safe. If this relationship dissolves, I'm going to be safe.
Right.
I love that too.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I think that's just awesome. Oh my gosh, such great advice. Such great advice.
Powerful.
Yes, indeed. So, in a nutshell, we have how many minutes left? About 3.5, 4 minutes left. I like these questions that you asked, or that you mentioned to us that we should ask ourselves more than once per day, and I think that's incredibly valuable. And I hope that our listeners do take that to heart and do start practicing that, because with those questions comes a lot of growth, a lot of learning about ourselves. And that's what really it has to be about. It has to be about. There's nothing else that matters more.
Yeah, I agree. I thank you for all of your information, and I realize that if you are numb, you can't see what's going on. So I am grateful for what I'm going through right now, because at least I feel it, and no matter if it's positive, negative, no matter what it is, I can work through it. I can see it. It's
Right.
exposed.
You're going to look at it differently now,
Yes,
Loweta. I think you
am.
are.
I think I've been healed during this. Thank you. This
Well, and I know
session.
you look at it differently. You'll have no choice but to look at it differently and see that we could talk forever because you guys are awesome. But this thing, whatever you're in, has come for one reason: to serve you, to bow down and serve you, to help you get to the next step.
Touche, touche, touche. Yes.
You guys are my spirit moms. Thank you. From
You hit the
universe.
nail on the head there, Dr. James. Yep.
Well, I think everyone has some kind of relationship, whether it be their children, their boss, their this, their that. I mean, I can show you in every aspect where I think my inner is coming out in my outer world on every level that I'm dealing with right now. So this is a good journey for me. This is great.
Oh, it's
Thank
a
you.
great journey for you.
Yeah.
Anybody who's going through stuff, oh my gosh, it's a great journey. We don't see it at that time because we're crying ourselves to sleep every night, but it's a great journey because through that comes such wisdom and growth that we desperately need to move on.
Yeah.
That comes with maturity, that comes through wisdom, that comes through the elders, and that's so valuable. And Dr. James, we appreciate you being one of the facilitators towards all of this. This is just awesome.
And the
Oh,
value.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so grateful to be here and to share and talk about this stuff. And I want to just leave you with this last phrase. You talked about coming through a journey. In the book, there's a phrase that someone used to say to me all the time, which helped me and scared me. And I would say, I'm going through this right now. I'm just going through this, and it hurts. She goes, well, keep on going. Because when you come through, you're going to shine like new money.
Yep. I
And I
like
used to say,
that.
oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Shine like new money.
And isn't that what we want? Don't we want
Lots
to
of
shine? And the truth be known is we could shine through the whole process if we're willing to open our eyes and see that. We can shine through it. And once you understand the process is there for you and you alone, you will shine through it. You might still be bawling your eyes out from time to time, but you're going to be shining at the same time because you get it. You understand what this is about. It's about a better you, a newer you, a greater you.
And knowing your
That
value.
is the whole point of everything. I mean, no one can say it any better. That's the whole point of everything. And when we get that, we still cry, it still hurts, but there we see, oh my gosh, you love me so much to bring this so I could get there? Okay.
Yep, that's it. And Dr. James, it has been such a blessing to have you on our show. We're so grateful you spent time with us today. Hopefully we'll get
Thank
to
you.
chat again, and we want to remind our listeners to come back same time, same place next week, where it's all perspective. Join us and broaden yours. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
We We hope you've enjoyed today's show. To keep programs like this and other programs on the Broad Perspective Network, go to thebroadperspective.com and click the donate button. We truly appreciate your support.